Welcome to the Power in Motion podcast, the show for women who want to develop a kinder relationship with their body so you can feel healthy, happy, and confident without restricting food, doing torturous exercise, or constantly worrying about the number on the scale. I'm your host, Kim Hagel, size-inclusive fitness specialist and certified non-diet health and life coach specializing in body image. This podcast is here to provide weight-neutral, health at every size aligned information and coaching on sustainable habits and mindset shifts so you can feel your very best in the body you have right now. Let's lace up our runners and go for a walk while we chat. Hey, welcome back to the Power in Motion podcast. And if you're new around here, welcome. We're so glad to have you. I'm your host, Kim Hagel, and today I want to chat about how to be there for yourself when you have a negative reaction to seeing yourself in photos. So if you've ever seen pictures of yourself and found yourself feeling triggered or upset or super critical by what you see, or negative body image thoughts pop up for you, this is the episode for you. And I'm bringing you this episode today because it's been a real theme in my coaching practice and in my own life. And I always think that's just really cool how the universe presents these themes, and even how oftentimes my clients' journeys sometimes mirror exactly what I'm working on myself. And in the last few weeks, I've coached several different clients on this topic of seeing themselves in pictures. And I'm not going to lie, I even had a little moment myself of feeling triggered by seeing pictures of myself. I mentioned in the last little brief episode that I did that I just had my whole website redone. And it's just actually launched this week. I rewrote all the content for it. I was busy pretty much the whole month of August writing the content for my website. I just started from scratch and wrote a whole new homepage, about page, all of the copy for my coaching services, personal training services. I just rewrote it all and had a designer put it all together. Her name is Jessica Freeman at Jess Creatives on Instagram. And I am loving the final result. I love the colors and the feel of it, the whole vibe. And I think you should just go check it out. And the content feels so aligned with my purpose, which on that note, I want to give a big shout out and gratitude to my business bestie, Becky Nethery, who's a brilliant copywriter, and she's just so gifted at her job. So I did actually write all the content for the new website, but I did have Becky's support. She used her process of information gathering to help me get really clear, really dialed in on my messaging and reconnected to my why. And, I really believe that this work I'm doing is my soul's purpose. So she really pushed me, encouraged me to reconnect to that soul's purpose. So the site is written from this really passionate and inspired place, and it feels so good to me when I read it. And I'd love to hear your thoughts when you see it. So feel free to send me a message and let me know what you think. And the other part of this process of rebuilding my website was getting some new updated brand photos, because the last photos that I had taken for my business were over 3 years ago. And one, they're really good photos. I really still like them, but I was getting a little tired of using them, having used them for 3 years. And two, all of those photos from 3 years ago were very much fitness, gym branding type photos. And though I still do that type of work, my main focus now in my business is body acceptance coaching. So I wanted new photos that really represented that type of work. And then the third part of it is my body has changed. So while I know that bodies do change and I don't feel any need to justify or explain that, I did feel a bit like my old photos were maybe misleading and not representative of how I look today. And it's important to me to show up authentically and confidently in the body that I have. So I had a photo shoot done. I hired a friend of mine. Her name is Stephanie, and I've known her for a long time. She's shot family pictures for us several times. So I feel really comfortable with her, and the shoot went really well, which is great because I am not a natural behind the camera at all. Like, I have no clue how to pose. I stand in these really awkward positions, or I think I'm smiling, but then I look at the photo and I've got like major resting bitch face. But Stephanie was awesome. She told me how to stand and how to sit, how to pose, and kept reminding me to smile big. So that was awesome. Plus, we just got to catch up and chat about our kids, and we just had a really good time. So the experience of the photo shoot itself was a lot of fun, and it's important to note that I felt good in my body during the whole thing. I felt neutral and confident. I liked what I was wearing, and I just felt really comfortable, which is a real testament to the amount of body image work that I've already done. A past version of me would have been super anxious about how I looked and wondering if my clothes were flattering or if they were hiding my so-called flaws. But that wasn't the case. And I really celebrate that. But then I got the photos back and it was a bit of a different story. I mean, Stephanie did a fantastic job. Like, the quality is awesome, and looking at them now a few days later, I'm like, they're beautiful photos. I am really, really pleased with the work. But in the moment that I received them, I found myself zeroing in on body parts and feeling really critical and honestly having thoughts like, is that really what I look like? And I'll tell you the truth, even having those thoughts caught me off guard because, like, this is what I do. I coach body acceptance, and I've done so much work on myself in this area. So for a moment, I was even judging the fact that I was judging my body. So I want to start there. I want to normalize the fact that negative body image thoughts happen to us all. Even those of us who've done loads of work, who have been at this for years, who are so-called experts in this area, it happens. It is entirely normal to have negative thoughts about our body. And in just knowing that, that helps a lot, right? Just knowing that it's normal to experience this from time to time. Because think about it, how can we not have moments of judgment against our body when we live in a society that is so focused on beauty standards and weight and appearance? It makes sense. It makes sense that we're going to get caught sometimes in a trap of comparison and self-judgment. It's just normal. Like, it happens. It's normal. And it doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you've failed at doing this work or that you relapsed or that everything that you've done was for nothing. You have not failed. Nothing's gone wrong. These types of thoughts are normal in the society that we live in. So let's dig into why they come up, first of all, and how you can support yourself when they do. Because here's the thing, just because you're having that thought doesn't mean that it's true, and it doesn't mean that you have to act on it. But in order to not act on it, in order to not let that thought take you down, you got to have a few strategies. So that's what I want to share with you today, so that when you have these triggering body image thoughts when looking at pictures of yourself, you know what to do and you don't let it take you down. Okay, so let's talk about why photos of yourself feel like such a trigger. Like, why is it that you can be feeling totally neutral and content about yourself, maybe even liking how you look, and then you see a photo and you see something totally different, and like you're shocked. It's like you're slapped in the face with reality and have this realization that what you thought you looked like isn't what you actually look like. Well, two things. One, the camera does lie. I actually researched this on Google and asked, why do I look larger in photos than in real life? And found lots of stuff about camera angles and how the lens of the camera basically flattens out all of our curves. Like, it takes this 3D version of you and makes it 2D. So there is some truth to the fact that the camera adds 10 pounds. But at the same time, that answer didn't fully satisfy me, because when I look at a group photo, I don't look at everyone else in the photo and think they look different. Everybody else looks like they do in real life. I just zero in on me, which tells me there's more to this. Our brain is interpreting this image of ourselves in a different way than it interprets when we look in the mirror. And here's what I believe is going on. When you look at a photo of you, particularly a recent one, all you objectively see is what's printed on that piece of paper. You see your face, your body, and maybe the faces and bodies of other people if they're in the photo with you. The photo doesn't show the context, the emotions, the memories. Your brain has to conjure that part up. Memories are not implicitly shown in the photo. And I say that we do this particularly with recent photos because I've noticed we don't tend to have the same intense reaction when we look at older pictures of ourselves. Have you ever noticed that? I bet if you go back and look at older photos of yourself a year, 5, 10, 20 years ago, you're going to look at them with a totally different perspective. Just try it if you don't believe me. When I look back at old photos of me holding my babies, I don't see my postpartum belly or that I'm not wearing any makeup. I see a young mom and my sweet little baby, and I recall all those emotions from that time, feeling so in love and so scared and clueless. And I think about how different that young woman is from who I am today, and I'm nostalgic for that time, especially now that my babies are all grown up. And then when I look at pictures from my childhood, I see the old gold floral couch that my brothers and I were sitting on and the Cabbage Patch doll that I was holding. I see the smile on my face, and I'm flooded with childhood memories. And even when I look at pictures of my body from my fitness-obsessed days, I don't see my so-called flaws, even though I know I did at the time that the photo was taken. I'm filled with sadness, honestly, and compassion for that version of myself that felt so strongly that her worth was tied up in the size and shape of her body. I feel regret for the things I missed out on during that time. So I encourage you to try this exercise too. Take a look at old photos of you, and I guarantee you're not going to see these past photos, these past versions of yourself with the same critical, judgmental perspective. You're going to look at those past photos with a lot more compassion, kindness, and neutrality. You think less about you and more about the memory and the experience. So, what I'm saying here is that the way that you see the photo is really dependent on your brain's focus and interpretation. We form opinions about the photo based on the lens through which we see ourselves. And if you have a tendency to always be hard on yourself, be critical, and compare yourself to others, and to filter your enjoyment of an experience through how you look, it's what you're going to do when you look at pictures. The thing about photos and why we find them so triggering is because that memory is captured in real time. I was going to say in black and white, but probably not. In full color on a piece of paper for the rest of time. And that means we're putting ourselves out there to be seen. And that can feel super vulnerable because we think that other people looking at this photo of us are going to form the same opinions that we have when we look at the photo. We think that they're going to see our body and judge and criticize us too. And that fear of judgment is hella scary. Which just goes to show that this isn't really about our body at all. I know it feels like it's about your body when you see photos of yourself and you're triggered about your body image, but it's really about how you feel you measure up. Think about all of the times when you feel most bothered by thoughts of your body. Maybe you notice it happening when you're going somewhere where you don't know anyone, or you're starting a new job, or giving a big presentation, or putting yourself out there at work, going on a date, or major life changes like job loss or divorce, or having photos taken or posting pictures on social media. Body criticism tends to show up whenever we're doing something new or difficult, or when we feel exposed, when we feel vulnerable and insecure in another area of our life. We worry about making mistakes, what people are going to think of us, whether we'll succeed or fail, and we compare ourselves to others who seem to have it all together and make the mistake of thinking that all that insecurity and vulnerability that we feel is about our body, when really it's about our sense of belonging being threatened. So, if I'm being honest, when those thoughts popped into my head after receiving my photos, I know now it's not really about my body. It's not even really about the fear of judgment about what people might say about my body and what are they going to make that mean about me. It's more that is my not good enough voice trying to convince me that I don't deserve to be out there doing this work and taking up space. So, when that happens, when that critical voice comes up, it's really important that you acknowledge why that voice is there. It's not because those words are true. Just because you're having those thoughts that you're not good enough or your body is whatever, those thoughts are there to keep you safe. That critical voice, as mean as it is just trying to protect you. If she's loud and mean enough and convincing enough, then you're going to believe that your body is too big, too gross, too whatever. And you won't put yourself out there. You won't apply for that job, go on that date, or pose for that photo. Or maybe you won't even go out when you know that photos are going to be taken. And if you don't take the action, then there's no possibility that you could fail, make a mistake, or that anybody could judge you. So, it's really, really important that you meet this critical part of you with so much compassion and understanding. What I like to say to my critical voice is like, it is so sweet of you, critical Karen. Like, thank you for trying to keep me safe. I appreciate what you're trying to do, but in the most loving and kind way, piss off. And that's our work. That's the big part of this is being your own best friend and having your own back and making it safe for you to show up authentically as yourself. Holding space for that critical part to do her thing, knowing she only wants the best for you. And then supporting this part of you that feels vulnerable by giving yourself the reassurance and validation that you need to move forward. Reassuring yourself that you are enough, you are worthy, you can make mistakes, you can fail, you can take up space in your body. You get to have fun, you get to create memories, you get to exist exactly as you are in this body, full stop. Okay, so with that in mind, here are some steps you can take to support yourself when you feel triggered by seeing photos of yourself. First step, just let all the feelings be there. Whatever emotion shows up, embarrassment, shame, fear, sadness, just really allow yourself to feel it all. The feelings are never wrong. They do feel gross sometimes, but they're not going to hurt you. So take your time and sit with those uncomfortable feelings for as long as it takes. And notice as you're feeling all those feelings, this is step 2, notice all of the critical thoughts that are coming up with a curious mind. Try to be an observer of your thoughts and be curious about them rather than attaching to them and believing them. What I mean by that is when your brain offers you things like your body is gross, you better hit the gym or go on a diet, take pause and say to yourself, I see that I'm having these thoughts, that my body is wrong. If it's not actually about my body, because it's not, what am I really afraid of here? And then be honest about what it is that you're really concerned about when you see those photos. Is it fear of judgment, that people won't like you based on how you look, or that you feel like you don't deserve to be having fun in your current body? What is it that you're afraid of? And then the next step is to challenge those thoughts, challenge their validity. Is this true? And give yourself the reassurance and validation that you're seeking. Remind yourself that you're enough. You're enough. You're worthy of taking up space. You're worthy of an awesome life. Perfection is not a prerequisite for joy. You are worthy of joy no matter what. You get to be authentically and imperfectly you, and that is absolutely okay, and you can make it safe. And this is the part where some people get stuck. Like, it might just feel really, really true that you don't deserve to take up space and enjoy life in this body. And maybe it feels impossible to believe anything otherwise, that you could be worthy in this body. So if that's the case, know that you can learn to believe differently. You can reach a place where you absolutely know that you're worthy no matter what. And that's where coaching comes in. That is the way there. So if you're in that place, please reach out, whether that's to me or another coach that you follow. Get support because you deserve to feel worthy, and it is possible to get there. And then my final tip is to support your brain to think differently about photos by looking at some older pictures of yourself. Notice how you look at that picture differently, how you focus on the memories and the feelings surrounding the photo. And then see if you can go back and apply that type of filter to your current photo. Can you coax your brain to hone in on what's behind that piece of paper and not just what you're seeing in the 2D? Okay, so I hope that you have found all of that helpful. As always, I'd love to hear your takeaways from this episode, so feel free to message me on social media and we'll carry on the conversation. And please go and check out my new website. I would love to hear your honest thoughts about it. Okay, I will see you on the next episode. Be well, my friend. Thanks for tuning into the Power in Motion podcast today. If you love what you're learning here, then I invite you to take the next step of embodying these concepts into your own life so that you can live your healthiest, happiest life and never again feel held back by your body. Coaching is the fastest, most efficient pathway to taking what you know in your head to actually applying it and seeing results. Whether you're looking to make changes around movement, food, body image, or all three, I'm here to help you nurture a kind, respectful, and trusting relationship with your body so you can feel your very best. Click the link in the show notes to book a free consultation, and together we'll uncover what's getting in the way of you having the results you want. You'll leave this call knowing exactly what you need to work on, and together we'll explore whether one of my coaching offers is a good fit for you. I can't wait to meet you.